ladies and gentlemen, I present to you wearing her noose earrings, which I think classy move, Laura Ingraham. Yipe. And by the way, I love roped footage. I love I mean the vast majority of her audience sees this and goes, "Oh my god, look at all the brown people." And the rest of us look at this and go, "Is Coachella started already, or did I miss Coachella?" All right. So here's Laura Ingraham making the exact same fucking case.
Impeachable and unconscionable. That's
impeachable, whatever. Nice fancy graphics. I don't think it's helping your viewers, though. I think they're going to be squinting a lot.
That's the focus of tonight's angle. In T-minus 2 hours now.
Oh my God. We're 2 hours. This countdown. This is like 2 minutes to migrants. The brown people crawling over the wall. 2 minutes to immigrants. Oh, what an asshole. Oh. How do you think they're going to feel when this doesn't turn out the way, again, the worst border, according to them, has happened under Title 42. When Obama and Biden were in office, they had a lower through rate than Trump did pre-wall. If the border is wide open, maybe the wall is the problem. We'll talk about that later. And secondly, Title 42 is a problem. It's fucked up. It's Title 42's fault that we're in this. Okay.
Hundreds of thousands of foreigners gaming our immigration system will begin pouring in.
Here they come. They're going to pour in. It's a little sparse. I gotta say, as an American, I remember like spring of last year, or maybe it was the year before, they had that big crowd of people under the bridge that was huge. It was, it was ginormous. Or as I like to call it, the Biden rallies. There was remember that? It was just like packed. This looks like the second weekend of the Blockbuster with a disappointing drop-off in ticket sales.
Now, after they get there, they're going to be asked, where they want to go. Then they're going to get their free bus tickets, all courtesy of U.S. taxpayers.
Yeah, the questions should be more expensive, but they're not, and then Americans are being fleeced for the price of bus tickets. What Laura wants is women with children, some of them even, the women even pregnant, to walk. We've got a sponsor. We got a Catholic sponsor for you in Idaho. Someone who knows a member of your family who lives here legally. And they're going to take you in. You made this whole trek up, you and your toddler, and you're 8 months pregnant. Laura Ingraham would like you to walk, for Jesus.
Now, most of them will not be screened at all, either for diseases or prior criminal backgrounds.
Yeah, but that's true of Trump when he ran for office. So, I mean, it's only fair. I mean, would you have voted for him if you knew he had third stage syphilis at that point? I mean, come on.
Sometimes they'll get a piece of paper telling them to show up years down the road for an immigration hearing. Yeah, that's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, like they want to be citizens. Like they're going to keep their nose clean for a couple of years. They're women with children, okay? They're whores, and they came here to steal whore jobs from the Laura Ingrahams of the world. No?
Now, understand this.
Okay, I'm going to try. It's going to be very difficult. It's a rough day for trying to understand their bullshit. And so far, you're not making sense, but I'm working with you.
Understand it well.
All right. Fuck, you're asking too much. Understand it's one thing, but understand it well? All right, if I don't, it's on you, because it's your bullshit. All right, let's go.
The scenes you're watching tonight are not happening because of Biden administration incompetence.
You mean the I think a woman and her kid walking in front of 3 rows of razor wire alone at night on the Mexican side of the border outside of El Paso, Texas? Which part of what I'm watching is supposed to be because of all right.
They're happening because this is exactly what the Democrats want. Now, let me.
People roasting marshmallows. It's true. It's true. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. My dream in life is that a bunch of Mexican immigrants sit in a vacant lot outside of El Paso, Texas, on the Mexican side of the border, waiting to be processed on their asylum claims, roasting marshmallows, while knowing full well that 92% of them are going to be rejected outright. It's what I want. I'm a Democrat. What can I say? It's I don't think of much else. You know, I might go to a sports ball game, but while I'm sitting there, I'm not going, "Hey, go team with the ball that my friends like." I'm not yelling those things. I'm not saying this is a fine pretzel slathered in mustard. I'm sitting there going, "Boy, I hope that the turnout at the border doesn't look kind of like a Jimmy Dore stand-up show."
Explain this.
All right, explain this. You know what you can explain to me? How jam-packed that fucking picture looks behind Biden. But in reality, there's not. I mean, I'm just saying that's fairly narrow focus. That is the equivalent of like an Instagram tits shot.
Liberals and business elites have been working toward this for decades, and now.
Yes, by the way. Yeah, you heard that right. Liberals and business elites. Uh-huh. Please tell me again how communists and corporations are, while strange bedfellows are coordinating to destroy democracy. Okay, go ahead.
They're celebrating what is ultimately, if they really get their way, the destruction of America's middle class.
Then why did we elect Joe Biden? I mean, if we want to destroy the middle class, I thought, weren't we supposed to go for Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren or even Donald Trump, because he's a big 1%er? I mean, you can't. If you have a middle class, it means you have a lower class. So obviously, the commies would have been a way better way to go. They'll eliminate the middle class entirely. Everything will be middle. And again, this goes to the thing: you can't have a small and a large, a medium without a small and a large. I'm just saying. So the elimination of small or large means medium doesn't exist anymore. So the middle class vanishes. I'm just saying. I know it's semantics.
Sounds inflammatory, hyperbolic?
No, it just sounds dumb.
Stay with me.
I have to. I guess I gotta. Fuck.
Now, why do they want to destroy the middle class?
Good question. Hey, chat room, why do you guys want to destroy the middle class? I mean, sound off. Give me a good reason. Is it because you're just sick of seeing Audi dealerships and Starbucks across the street from another Starbucks? Is that what it is? Why? What's wrong with you? Why do you want to destroy the middle class?
Well, the far left hates all those traditions that the middle class clings to, especially the flag waving, guns, religion.
Why is that a middle class thing? What the fuck are you talking about? I thought that was a working class thing.
Get the score. And
no, I don't get the score. How did that become middle class amosexuals? What?
Big business, they dislike the middle class because.
By the way, I would like to say to the immigrants patiently waiting for Title 42 to end in 2 hours of daylight in Yuma, Arizona, thanks for standing in line like civilized people. If this was MAGA, they'd have bum rushed that fucking line a long time ago. I'm just, kudos on you for keeping your cool.
It's an obstacle to keeping wages as low as possible.
She looks like an American to me. I'm just going to go out on a limb.
Remember, under Trump, the middle class is better off.
No, technically they weren't, actually. Their wages are higher now. They have better job options. Yeah. I mean, and of course, lots of them were dying from COVID.
Their median income was rising, and
Yeah, but their real wages weren't.
we had minimal inflation.
We had minimal inflation because the entire economy shut down.
But a limitless supply of low-wage workers
are going to replace all the low-wage job. Wait, we don't have people who do low-wage jobs. So Americans who don't do low-wage jobs are eventually... You do realize that middle-class jobs aren't low-wage... Never mind.
That's what makes business happiest and keeps America's middle class the poorest.
Well, I think ultimately it makes the middle class's dollar go further because the actual cost of the creature comforts, pleasures, and food and entertainment, whatever they're doing, like, going to places like Mar-a-Lago, way cheaper than if you actually had to pay people a living wage.
Open Borders radicals think every migrant sleeping on the ground tonight, waiting for processing, is a future Democrat voter. That's how.
No, actually, one of the big concerns is that a lot of them are Hispanic Catholics who are very pro-life, and that almost guarantees them to eventually, after they've been here a little while, to vote Republican. And also, there tends to be a habit of ladder pulling from a lot of, especially, we're not talking about like Mexico and Central America, but South America especially, folks that make it up from there tend to want to pull the ladder up after themselves. It's a curious reflex. I don't understand it myself.
They see them. The wealthy donors see the migrants as much needed cheap labor.
Oh my God. Laura Ingraham is afraid that a Mexican is going to take her job.
Now,
which, by the way, would be hilarious. I'm just saying, I think it's one thing to see Tucker Carlson get kicked off of Fox News. It's another thing entirely if, like, hello, I'm Maria Gonzalez Maria Consuelo, mi amor, your host of The Angle. I will be replacing Laura Ingraham from this point forward, okay?
It's as simple as that.
It's very simple. It's simple, guys. It's simple. They're trying to destroy the middle class, which is why we elected the guy who's been the most union-friendly president since fucking Roosevelt.
If those two groups didn't want this to happen,
they wouldn't let this lady from Yuma, Arizona, bring these people bottles of water.
Biden wouldn't have done it.
Huh?
Because of what they've done, an untold number of Americans will not just lose jobs, but lose their lives.
That's right. They're coming here to murder you and rape you in that order. They're going to crawl across the border. Basically, it's The Last of Us in Espanol.
For these globalists, though, it's all collateral.
Globalists. Hey, dummy. If they were true globalists, they wouldn't need these people to come here. Globalism means that the supply chains and the jobs are outsourced. They would send the jobs that these people are coming here to do there. It's the lack of globalism. It's the tightening of those markets that's driving more of the migrants. Stupid. If it was... Oh, for fuck's sake.
Damage. They don't care as long as...
They don't care.
They get to hold on to power and get rich. That's all that matters.
I don't know if she realized every time she says something like that, it makes the Fox viewers cringe because getting rich is all that matters to them. They're like, yeah, but that part I like.
And the justifications that...
I love this. Collateral damage from this will be incalculable because either we will refuse to do the math because the number of crossings will go down because you will lower recidivism, so the numbers are going to drop precipitously, and so we will not calculate those numbers because they will make us look like the assholes that we are, or we just are too stupid to even fathom something as complex as immigration.
They're being thrown out there all day long on the cables. To justify Biden's American sabotage, what were they? Well, they're as predictable as they were unpersuasive. Oh, they'll do jobs that Americans won't do.
At Mar-a-Lago, yeah.
Those folk who are coming across are the ones who are helping to put food on our table. Without them, we're not able to eat.
Wait.
By the way, he means farm workers. Directly addressing this. Now, obviously, he's not talking about the women and children. You're just going to have to let those in because unlike Glenn Beck, you don't think they deserve to be at the whim of the cartels.
Oh, really? Because in 1980, when I was in high school...
Wow, you're looking good, Laura. You're what? That makes you 6, 7 years older than me? All right.
And we didn't have an...
Jesus Christ, is she 60? She approaching 60?
Open border. Somehow we managed to have food in the stores.
Okay, first of all, in 1980, there was a shit ton of immigrant visas. None of this border shit existed pre 9/11, especially. People used to come across all the fucking time. We had effectively an open border. Jesus Christ. Hold on. This is just dumb. Wait 1 second. Let's see. Here you go. Hold on. Let's see. 1980s, National Farm Worker Ministry. Check this out for a second. I'll show you something. There's a guy right here. 1980s, CATA, el Comité de Apoyo a los Trabajadores Agriculturales, the Farm Workers Support Committee, is founded in 1979 as a nonprofit organization focused on organizing and empowering the immigrant community as they fight for justice for themselves, their families, and their communities. The Farm Labor Organizing Committee, the FLOC, well, let's get the FLOC out of here, gains traction in the Midwest. The Migrant Seasonal Agricultural Worker Protection Act of 1983 passes, requiring employers to disclose occupational expectations and comply with proper documentation in the workplace, such as pay stubs. The act, however, does not guarantee collective bargaining of freedom association rights. In 1986, the Immigration Reform and Control Act passes, intending for the increasingly Mexican farm labor population to be able to gain citizenship, thus qualifying them for U.S. federal minimum wage. In 1980, when she was in fucking school, there was, because of the volume of agricultural growth in the United States and the money and the growth of the economy and all kinds of other shit, it began a groundswell of migrant workers that set in motion 6 years later, when I was a sophomore, the Immigration Reform and Control Act, which Reagan passed, which granted asylum for 1 million Mexican workers who had been working here for a decade. She didn't fucking know this? We managed to have food on your table. Yes, because of Mexican migrant workers. Lots of them. Many of them, by the way, working under really shitty, dangerous conditions. And they still came. And we worked to improve those conditions for people. And they still came. And Reagan allowed 1 million of them to become citizens because they basically were. They worked so much, they never left.
And food on the dining room table in Glastonbury, Connecticut, where I lived.
Right. Up in the Northeast, where you had no fucking idea how much farm labor was done across the country. And by the way, nowhere near the southern border by Mexican farm labor, stupid. This is like, good fucking Lord.
And how do they do it in Australia and in France and Japan? They don't.
Well, a couple of things. One, they don't. They don't have an economy anywhere near as big as ours. They also buy stuff from other European countries across their borders because they are part of the European Union. They also buy a shit ton of agricultural goods from us. You know where they also get a lot of them from? Or did? Ukraine, before Russia tried to steal that source.
Don't have open borders.
Yes, they do. And Australia has the ocean as a border. Secondarily, like, the production of food and hold on, Jesus Christ. Like, how do they do it in Australia? Okay, first of all, they got what? What's the population of Australia? 25 million? There you go. So here's how they do it, Laura, you fucking dimwit. There's 25 million people in Australia on a landmass that is, hold on, here, I'll show you the size of it. Let's go back to here. Hold on one second. Yeah, here you go. How big is Australia? Here you are. One of the ways that they've got plenty of food in Australia, you fucking beaner, whatever the fuck you are, you bender, is because Australia is almost as big as the entire fucking United States. So even if only like 12% of it is farmable, they've got 1/6, less than 1/6 of our entire population and a set of land. You fucking stupid. You doby. That's how they do it, you moron. Shit. How did Australia manage to do it? I've got no fucking idea. It's just a mystery. We're all very confused. 25 million people in a land the size of the United States, in parts of Canada. What do you fucking think they do? They buy goods from New Zealand. and like European food imports, just fucking, ugh.
And yet somehow
25 million people in a stretch of land the size of the United States managed to come up with enough food for themselves that they, often will have using Aboriginal labor in some cases, or just low-wage workers in Australia, or will buy it from China, which is nearby.
They almost always have vegetables and fruit and meat in their
Almost always. Yeah, kangaroo. Half the fucking things we eat in Australia, we shoot them to get them out of the way.
grocery stores.
It's 25 million fucking people. It's not even fucking close to the volume of food the United States needs, you stupid. And the fact that we have as much excess because of the volume, because of how much arable land we have and how much food we sell to the rest of the world. Why don't you, essentially the title of this piece should be Fuck Farmers.
Now, migrant farm workers who come and go during the seasons, well, that's an obvious solution.
Yeah, obviously. Except for you don't want those visas.
To something we once did very efficiently, right? That worked.
Yeah, very efficiently. Yes, they would come in secretly, work under the table, be paid less than minimum wage, often lots of them children and the like. And then if they dared squawk, the business person who ran the farm or the factory or whatever would call the cops on them and go, this person told me that they were here legally and they lied, and then get them arrested. And then they would, pay the cops to not look at the other people that were there.
But that's not what we're doing here. Democrats want millions and millions to come here and never leave.
Well, we're a country of 340 million people, so worldwide we're going to expect that kind of immigration over the course of the existence of the country. I don't think in one fell swoop, if that's what you mean.
And frankly, never have any bargaining power.
Why? If they become here and become citizens, then they have bargaining power, dumb shit. If they live live and operate under the table, then they don't. Whew. There's how dumb? This dumb.
And now I'll take cabinet secretaries who most deserve to be impeached for 200, Alex.
I won't.
I want to be very clear. Our borders are not open.
Right. I mean, obviously the wall is shit, but don't take the fact that it's a slat fence as an excuse to slip through if you're skinny.
We removed, returned, and expelled 1.4 million people last year. Ask those 1.4 million people if they think the border is open.
And by the way, those people try and try again. That's where Trump gets his 5 million, 7 million, 15 million number.
I bet they do, because they just turn around and then they come right back in.
Hey, look at that. She look at that. She stumbled on her own idiocy. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks, stupid. That's right. There you go. We've already come back in here. Look at this business right here. We jumped into this shit already. There we go. I want to try back up to this one. There we go. There we go. Hey, look at that. Yeah, there you go. Vast majority of border crossers try and try again. You know why? Title 42, dum-dum. It's so nice when they stumble on it themselves. It won't be a moment of enlightenment. She just thinks that they try again because the border is wide open. Well, why the fuck would they have to? So stupid.
Now, Mayorkas is just following orders, of course.
Yes, of course, from the dictator, from the Bidens that want their own form of inverse Nazism, replace all the white people with the brown people doing the dangerous jobs until we have enough robots.
And the orders aren't coming from Biden. He's barely there.
Well, I mean, then why are you shitting on him? If he's, how is it unconscionable if you're arguing that he is not conscious? I don't know, this like bumbling criminal mastermind idea that somehow he's like the cross between Dr. Evil and Clouseau is amazing.
The sheer volume of humanity being shipped into the interior part of the United States, once they...
All right, simmer. Let's just take a moment and recognize that she at least said humanity. She means just humans, and she feels like if she just says it in those terms, she'll catch shit, so she mentioned humanity, which, you know, but the fact that she has to do that, I think, is take the progress when it comes, okay?
Make their way across the border. That's what makes this scenario tonight different.
Why? Because it's only a small percentage of the people who actually cross. It's less than 8%.
You've spent a lot of time down there. I mean,
You've spent time at the border. You've seen the people cross 9, 10, 15 times. You know most of them by name. Have you been to Idaho? Is it overrun? Does Idaho look like El Paso?
Noticed a significant change from months past?
Yeah, these are by far the biggest numbers we have ever seen, some of the biggest lines of migrants I have ever seen, and we're also seeing the state of Texas act differently. We have never seen them physically block migrants from entering before. So,
wait a minute. So Texas has just been allowing migrants into the country? So when Biden says the border is closed, when it's, you know, or Mayorkas says that the border is not open, he's not including Texas because Texas is refusing to block migrants into the country? What the hell, Texas?
a lot of firsts on this trip.
Now,
I'd never tried tequila before, and certainly not in a tube through, the
Moon River.
Arriba.
how many working class Americans voted for this?
The bars or the people on the other side of the bars? Is the video from San Ysidro or is that inside San Ysidro? Was your Fox reporter deported? Were they reported?
How many?
Deported? Deporting live for Fox News. I'm up shit creek. Where's my passport? How did I get on this side of the fence? Fuck.
African Americans thought they were going to get this when they voted for Biden.
Let's see that, sweet. She cares about the black people. Again, hey, I know you're going, I don't think she's being genuine. I know that's what it is. Let's just take the progress when it happens. She's seeming to care. That's a start.
Bet not many.
Bet not many. I mean, I don't talk to any of them, so I stay away. But I bet a lot of them didn't. I hear, because they're always angry about everything.
Why would they vote for them?
I don't know. Have you talked to them? I haven't talked to them. Why would they even talk to them? Why would black people do it? Why do black people do what they do? I don't even know. Have you heard their music? It's crazy.
It would be like voting for your own destruction.
Because black people do low-wage jobs. because that's their allotted life. Thanks, Laura. What?
So how is this not a threat to democracy from the
Well, because obviously we're trying to turn those people into voters, and Democratic voters at that. So clearly, we intend to have them vote. We're not training them. There's no way we're going to be able to train up a bunch of women and toddlers into an insurrection army that rivals the maggots on Jan 6. It's just the numbers aren't our way. I mean, just the bench press numbers are going to be very low.
those who claim to be the big guardians of it? Democrats have created dangerous conditions for the migrants themselves. Many
No, Trump did with Title 42.
of the women have been trafficked.
Right, because of Title 42 and the recidivism. Because people are getting rejected directly under Title 42. They don't get their cases heard. They get sent right back to Mexico. They try again because they're desperate. They try multiple times, and that's when they get victimized. Yeah.
Many of the children have disappeared into modern-day slavery.
Disappeared into modern-day slavery. Only when we send them to red states. That's weird. Florida, Mississippi, the two that stand out.
And this will be a guaranteed financial calamity for American cities like New York and Chicago.
Well, you do realize all of these folks aren't staying. And the migrant workers, especially the ones that are here to do, want to do farm work and that kind of stuff, or operate on a visa or get some sort of asylum to work that way, are going to the Midwest and the North Midwest.
And for suburban schools and hospitals that are already being stretched to the limit.
Right. Yeah. Imagine sitting in a waiting room with a boo-boo and in come a bunch of people who are suffering from being Mexican. I mean, that's a years-long treatments, and still it doesn't work.
But Biden and the gang, they don't care.
Of course he doesn't care. He's incapable of thinking. He's not conscious, and hence unconscionable. We get it. He can't put two and two together, and so I don't even know why you keep blaming him. This seems like elder abuse.
They don't really even like you at this point.
No. Look, Laura, when we say you're awful, we're not using sort of a royal you're. We mean you particularly. You're a terrible person. We don't like you. You in particular. This is targeted. When somebody says, Laura, you suck, they're not just anybody named Laura. They mean you. As a matter of fact, when other people yell at other Lauras, Laura, you suck, they mean you.
They just use you.
Well, now you're talking. And what
Moon River.
are we
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
what kind of usage are we?
And then they lie to you.
No. That's not true. You lie first, then you use me. And that's how the date goes. I mean, come on. What's the point of lying to me after you used me? Honestly, I'm already used. Call me.
We prepared for this moment for almost 2 years, and our plan will deliver results. Our current situation is the outcome.
Biden administration, we were prepared for this. Let that sink in. Like she's fucking Chironing by tweet now.
Of Congress leaving a broken, outdated immigration system in place for over 2 decades, despite unanimous agreement that we desperately need legislative reform.
Liar, liar, pantalones on fire.
Ew. Pantalones on fire. All right, simmer down. Secondly, does she think we don't need immigration reform? That's a lie? Why am I not on the show? Why am I not just hanging out backstage? Where I can just lean and go, psst, hey, dipshit. Do you think we don't need immigration reform? Have you read the bill? I have. It could pass. They need to bring it up for a vote.
Funny.
House will kill it right now because of Republicans.
How was it then that in 2017 and 2018, we didn't have this problem at the border? We didn't have amnesty. We had enforcement and smart policy by the Trump folks.
Well, also, you didn't have the backup of 3 years of post-COVID Title 42. And also you had limitations put in place by the Obama-Biden administration that he just continued.
So when these border crossers turn themselves in tonight, even if they don't speak English, what?
Uh-oh. Even if they don't speak English. So yeah. So now our National Guards people have to learn Spanish? Fuck. Also, for the record, if you're going to move to a country, learn the dominant language. Don't be an asshole. When I travel to another country, if I'm only going to be there a short time, I learn my fucking P's and Q's so I don't have to have somebody translate on my behalf every time I have to use the can. Be a gentle human being. When you are traveling to another country or you plan on living there for any stretch of time, learn their language. Even if it's one of the like European countries where everybody speaks English anyways, if you're moving to Germany, learn fucking German. Don't be a dick. United States, English is the dominant language. Learn English. It's fine. It'll serve you in the same way that if you're going to like move to Japan or China, learn Chinese or Japanese for Christ's sake. Yeah, are there other dialects in China? Lots of them, yeah. But Mandarin will serve you well. Learn it. I did. There's nothing wrong with it. And telling people they shouldn't or couldn't or whatever is abuse.
What do they know? They know how to mouth the words credible fear of persecution, which then allows them to stay in the country.
No, it doesn't, actually. They have to show credible fear of persecution, not just mouth the words. And again, it's one of the reasons why there's such a line for the people at the beginning, because after the 9th person repeating the exact same phrase, they're going to go, oh, I'm being bullshitted, and they're not going to rubber stamp them in anymore, and they know that.
Totally insane. Because it was obvious where this was all leading, the Trump White House
oh my God, they're throwing immigrants in dumpsters.
convinced Mexico to make
You're not look how they're like, you're not allowed to bring fruit in, so they're all throwing it in the thing.
the migrants wait in.
Look at this ginormous crowd. It looks like one of the recent Trump rallies. Sorry, it looks like one of the recent Trump rallies.
Mexico for their petitions to be considered.
Right, where they could be trafficked and abused and forced to be drug mules once they were, and wouldn't get to like even access to the ability to get processed because the cartels would stop them unless they agreed to take packages of fentanyl and shit across the border, that kind of shit. Great thinking. Way to really play chess on this. Laura Ingraham, if that is your real name.
Well, guess what happened then? The caravans suddenly stopped coming.
No, they didn't.
This should not be allowed to happen.
Again, what are you going to do? Bomb the caravans?
They're not going to do a version of Title 42 or my Title 42, which was tough.
My Title 42. Yes, your own personal draft. I didn't realize Title 42 was written in crayon on toilet paper.
People are sick and have infectious diseases and
yeah, and remember, this is the guy who said AIDS was his personal Vietnam.
Lots of other problems. We don't want them being into our country.
With the 2 million case backlog.
And by the way, the wall is basically a giant prophylactic. It's originally they were going to electrify it. They decided to cover it with spermicidal jelly and PrEP.
In our immigration courts. How could any president not demand?
If this isn't impeachable, what is? I agree. To spend that much money on a fucking wall and it doesn't work.
That asylum claims be paused until we clear it all
So it looks like, and the sad thing is, look, it's just been turned into one giant glory hole.
out. I know Trump would have done that. Yeah, that includes deporting all those asylees who bailed on their hearings.
All those asylees who bailed on their hearings. So none of them? How many, what's that number? How many people who have been given asylum status, not migrant status, not worker status, not gotten a sponsor because they're seeking some other kind of immigration, but people who sought asylum. What's the number, Laura? What's the number of people who don't show on asylum?
That figure is in the hundreds of thousands, by the way, that just never showed up.
Over the decades? Because out of millions of people since 1965, over 100,000 have either gone back home or died.
Now think about this. Democrats impeached Trump over a phone call with...
No. I know this is weird for you, and this might be hard to understand, but it wasn't over a phone call. It was over what he said to another person. The phone call was just ancillary. It was the delivery system for the criminality. We weren't pissed because he used the phone to do it. As a matter of fact, most of the shit that we worry about that he did with Putin and others, he did in person with no note takers present. We were lucky that he did this over the phone so we could hear him criming.
Zelensky. A total abuse of the impeachment clause. But if what
there is no impeachment clause, there's a Mrs. Impeachment clause.
Biden has created purposefully tonight in El Paso and Del Rio and Brownsville.
How did he try it purposefully? The Title 42 is legally available as an option because of COVID. The COVID emergency is over both here and internationally.
If that's not considered impeachable for what it's done to the sovereignty of the United States.
Well, hey, dummy, we got 2 more hours. And even then, you got to give him at least a 6-week window for how it's destroyed America. Or in 2 hours from now, when America's destroyed, we should impeach him. In the middle of the zombie apocalypse, if you could speak Spanish.
I don't know what is.
That's generally true about most material things, though, Laura.
And that's the angle.
Hey. Yes, I don't know what is, and that's the angle. I don't know what your angle is either. It's a little silly.